Sandy?
Tell me about it, Steph.
Olivia Newton-John will always be remembered for her iconic role as Sandy in Grease, a character that defined a generation. But what if we told you there was a scene so powerful, so personal, that it never made it into the final cut of the movie? A moment Olivia herself rarely spoke about, and one that could have changed everything we thought we knew about Grease. Why was it removed? What did it reveal about Sandy and about Olivia herself? Join us as we uncover the story behind the lost scene Olivia Newton-John refused to discuss. Before she was Sandy. Olivia Newton-John was born on September 26, 1948, in Cambridge, England. She came from a family with a strong background in academics and music. Her father, Brinley Newton-John, was an educator and had once worked as an MI5 officer during World War II. Her mother, Irene, was the daughter of Max Born, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. Despite this intellectual background, Olivia's heart was always drawn to the world of music and performing. When Olivia was just 6 years old, her family moved to Melbourne, Australia. It was in Australia that her love for music truly began to grow. As a teenager, she formed an all-girl group called Soul 4 and started performing at local coffee shops and on television talent shows. Her natural charm, clear voice, and relaxed stage presence caught people's attention early on. By the late 1960s, Olivia had returned to England to try her luck in the music industry. It wasn't long before she started to gain recognition. Her first real breakthrough came in 1971 with her cover of Bob Dylan's song, If Not For You, which reached the top 10 in the UK and the US. This song helped launch her career as an international singer. In 1974, Olivia released I Honestly Love You, a soft, emotional ballad that became a #1 hit in both the United States and Canada. The song was a major milestone and earned her 2 Grammy Awards, one for Record of the Year and another for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. By this time, Olivia Newton-John had become a household name. By the mid-1970s, Olivia Newton-John had become one of the most popular female singers in the world. She had already won multiple awards, topped the charts, and performed on major television shows. But despite her music success, she had not yet stepped into the world of film acting. Olivia's ability to bring warmth and sincerity to the role would later become one of the most memorable parts of Grease. She brought her real self to the screen, making Sandy not just a character, but someone who felt genuine and real. Next up, we'll look at why Olivia was so unsure about joining Grease and how close she came to saying no. She almost said no. Even though Olivia Newton-John was already a world-famous singer by the mid-1970s, she wasn't confident about stepping into the world of film. Acting was something entirely new to her. While she had appeared on television and done some hosting and guest performances, she had never acted in a major motion picture before. So when the role of Sandy Olsen in Grease was offered to her, she didn't immediately say yes. One of Olivia's biggest concerns was that she didn't feel experienced enough as an actress. She had spent most of her career focused on music, recording albums, going on tours, and performing live. She wasn't sure she could convincingly play a fictional character, especially one who goes through a major transformation in the story. In an archived interview from the late 1970s, she said, "I wasn't sure I could pull it off, but I trusted the team to guide me." Another reason she hesitated was her age. Olivia was 29 years old at the time Grease was being filmed. The idea of playing a high school senior, someone around 17 or 18 years old, didn't seem very believable to her. She was worried that audiences wouldn't accept her in the role. Despite her youthful appearance, she felt there was too much of an age gap between her and the character. Olivia also worried about damaging her reputation. At the time, she had a clean, sweet image that matched her music. Songs that were emotional, soft, and heartfelt. Sandy's transformation in Grease, especially at the end when she appears in a leather outfit and takes on a more daring personality, made Olivia wonder if the role would change how people saw her. She was known for her innocence and charm, and this part asked her to play a character who suddenly becomes bold and rebellious. Randall Kleiser, the director of Grease, later spoke openly about Olivia's uncertainty. He confirmed that she had many doubts before saying yes to the role. According to Kleiser, Olivia wasn't nervous about singing. After all, that was her strong suit. What made her nervous was acting. He recalled, she was nervous, not about singing, about whether she could embody a fictional character. Kleiser and the production team had to reassure Olivia that she was the right fit for the film. They told her that they would help her through the process and that the character of Sandy didn't need to be a complicated acting role. In many ways, they said, Olivia already was Sandy, kind-hearted, thoughtful, and real. Kleiser believed that with the right guidance and support, Olivia would bring something special to the screen, even without formal acting training. One of the most important voices in support of Olivia's casting was John Travolta. At the time, Travolta was already a rising star, thanks to his work on the TV show Welcome Back, Kotter, and the success of Saturday Night Fever. He had already been chosen to play the male lead, Danny Zuko, in Grease. When Travolta heard that the producers were considering Olivia Newton-John for the role of Sandy, he strongly supported the idea. He believed she had the perfect qualities for the character. Her beauty, her voice, and her natural kindness made her a great fit. Travolta even said that the film needed someone like Olivia to balance Danny's tough guy personality. He insisted to the production team that she should be cast and made a strong case on her behalf. Eventually, Olivia agreed to meet with Travolta and do a screen test, a test scene filmed to see how two actors performed together. The chemistry between them was clear from the start. When they read their lines together and acted out scenes, it felt natural and exciting. Their connection was genuine, and everyone watching the screen test could see it. Now that she had said yes to Grease, Olivia was about to become part of something much bigger than she ever imagined. Grease changed everything. When Grease was released in 1978, it quickly became one of the most successful movie musicals of all time. Audiences around the world were instantly drawn to its catchy songs, energetic dance numbers, and fun blend of 1950s style with 1970s flair. The film captured something special. Nostalgia for the past, mixed with a fresh and youthful excitement that spoke to people of all ages. The story followed high school students navigating love, friendship, and identity. It was set in the 1950s but made with the upbeat energy of the 1970s. This unique combination made it feel both timeless and modern at the same time. Viewers saw parts of themselves in the characters, from the tough but charming Danny to the sweet and unsure Sandy. One of the most talked about parts of Grease was Sandy's transformation at the end of the film. After being seen as the innocent good girl for most of the movie, she surprises everyone by showing up at the carnival in black leather with big hair and a confident attitude. That moment, where she sings "You're the One That I Want with Danny," became one of the most iconic scenes in movie history. It has been replayed, referenced, and imitated for decades since. For Olivia Newton-John, Grease was a turning point in her career. Before the movie, she was already a successful singer with several hit songs and Grammy Awards. But the role of Sandy took her to a whole new level. She was no longer just known for her voice. Now, she was also recognized as a movie star. Olivia's performance in Grease showed her range not just as a singer, but also as a performer. She sang several key songs in the film, and each one added to the emotional journey of her character. "Hopelessly Devoted to You," which Sandy sings after feeling heartbroken over Danny, was especially powerful. It earned Olivia an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song and remains one of her most beloved performances. While Grease looked like pure fun on screen, there were some serious creative discussions happening behind the scenes, especially around the character of Sandy. One of the main debates was about how much she should change by the end of the film. Some members of the production team felt strongly that Sandy should stay true to her original personality. They believed that her innocent, sweet character was important, and that changing her too much would send the wrong message. Others, however, wanted to explore a deeper and more complex version of Sandy, one where she takes control of her own identity and decides for herself who she wants to be. Olivia Newton-John later shared that she was aware of these creative tensions. She remembered how much thought went into Sandy's transformation and the conversations around what it should mean. Even during filming, there were different views on whether her character arc felt natural or forced. The final scene of Grease, where Sandy shows up in black leather, high heels, and a confident attitude, sparked a lot of discussion, both then and now. Some people saw the transformation as a moment of empowerment. In this view, Sandy was finally taking control and showing that she could be bold and strong. Others saw it as her changing herself just to win Danny's approval, which raised concerns about sending the wrong message, especially to young viewers. Olivia herself reflected on the meaning behind Sandy's change. She once said, "It raised questions about whether she had to change herself for someone else's approval." That quote captured the heart of the debate. Was Sandy reinventing herself because she wanted to, or was she doing it to fit in with someone else's world? But while Grease turned Olivia into a global icon, her personal life away from the spotlight was filled with both love and heartbreak. Love, loss, and secrets. Olivia Newton-John may have lived much of her life in the public eye, but she often kept her personal world quiet and protected. Behind the fame and success, she experienced deep love, motherhood, illness, and challenges that shaped her into the strong, compassionate woman fans admired both on and off the stage. In 1984, Olivia married actor and dancer Matt Lattanzi. The two had met on the set of the film Xanadu, where Matt was working as a backup dancer. Their relationship blossomed quickly, and the couple became one of the most talked-about pairings in entertainment at the time. Olivia was at the height of her career, and Matt was starting to gain recognition in his own right. 2 years after their wedding, in 1986, Olivia gave birth to their daughter, Chloe Rose Lattanzi. Chloe was Olivia's only child, and she became the center of her mother's world. Olivia often spoke about how important motherhood was to her. She took time away from the spotlight to focus on raising Chloe and spending time as a family. Despite their strong connection, Olivia and Matt eventually grew apart. After more than a decade together, they divorced in 1995. Although the marriage ended, they remained respectful and kind toward each other in public. Olivia never spoke negatively about Matt in interviews, and they continued to co-parent Chloe with love and care. Olivia's life changed dramatically in 1992 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. The news shocked her fans, especially because she had always seemed so full of energy and positivity. But instead of hiding her illness, Olivia chose to share her experience publicly, hoping it would help others going through the same struggle. She underwent surgery and chemotherapy, and after recovering, she became an outspoken advocate for cancer awareness. She worked to raise money for research, promote early detection, and support others battling the disease. Olivia didn't want cancer to define her, but she used her platform to educate and inspire. Her dedication to cancer advocacy became even more powerful in 2012, when she opened the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Centre in Melbourne, Australia. The centre offers a range of services, including treatment, research, and emotional support for patients and their families. Olivia often visited the center and took great pride in the care and healing it provided. Over the years, her cancer returned multiple times. In 2013, and again in 2017, she faced new rounds of treatment after the illness had spread. Through it all, Olivia remained strong and hopeful. She continued working, recording music, performing when she could, and spreading a message of love and resilience. Her openness about her illness helped reduce the stigma and fear surrounding cancer. As Olivia's fame continued and public interest in her life grew, she began to guard her privacy more closely. While she had once been very open in interviews, especially during her early career, she eventually chose to keep more of her personal thoughts and emotions to herself. She still appeared in the media and gave interviews, but she often steered conversations away from deeply personal topics. When asked about her relationships, family life, or health struggles, she answered kindly, but rarely in detail. Olivia understood the value of maintaining boundaries, especially as someone constantly in the spotlight. But while Olivia handled fame and illness with quiet strength, one mystery in her life brought sudden headlines and left fans with more questions than answers. The disappearance of Patrick McDermott. One of the most puzzling and emotional chapters in Olivia Newton-John's life was the sudden and mysterious disappearance of her longtime partner, Patrick McDermott. What began as a quiet personal relationship turned into a global mystery that brought media attention, heartbreak, and years of unanswered questions. After her divorce from Matt Lattanzi in the mid-1990s, Olivia eventually found companionship again. She began dating Patrick McDermott, a cameraman and lighting technician who had worked on various TV and film projects. The two were together for about 9 years, from the mid-1990s until 2005. Their relationship was low profile and mostly stayed out of the public spotlight. Olivia rarely spoke about Patrick in interviews, and the couple avoided red carpets and public appearances together. Everything changed on June 30, 2005, when Patrick McDermott went missing during an overnight fishing trip off the coast of San Pedro, California. He had boarded the boat, named Freedom, with about 24 other passengers planning to spend the night fishing and relaxing. But when the boat returned the next morning, Patrick wasn't on board. At first, no one realized he was missing. It wasn't until a few days later that questions were raised. He hadn't shown up for a family event and missed a photography job. Eventually, a search was launched, and he was declared missing. Authorities later concluded that he likely fell overboard and drowned, although no body was ever recovered. While official reports presumed McDermott dead, the story didn't end there. In the months and years that followed, various theories began to emerge, many suggesting that Patrick hadn't died at all. Some private investigators and media outlets claimed he had been seen in Mexico, living under a new identity. These reports suggested that Patrick may have staged his own disappearance to escape financial difficulties, including unpaid debts and legal issues related to child support for his son from a previous relationship. Several so-called sightings were reported in places like Puerto Vallarta and Sayulita, small beach towns in Mexico known for their laid-back lifestyle and large expat communities. In 2009, a television show hired investigators who claimed they had found evidence that Patrick was alive and living in a remote area of Mexico with a new girlfriend. They claimed he wanted to avoid media attention and legal troubles. However, no official confirmation ever followed, and U.S. authorities continued to list him as presumed dead. Many believed these rumors were simply fueled by gossip and public fascination with mystery. In interviews, Olivia said the situation had been one of the most painful experiences of her life. "It's a heartache I'll probably never fully understand," she said in one of her later public statements. She admitted the lack of closure was difficult, especially since there were no clear answers. But, true to her character, she focused on healing and moving forward rather than dwelling on what couldn't be changed. She later remarried in 2008 to John Easterling, a businessman and health advocate. Olivia spoke fondly of him and credited his support and love as a source of strength. Even after rebuilding her life, the mystery of Patrick McDermott's disappearance remained a sensitive subject, one she never fully explored in public. But while the world was focused on what might have happened at sea, there was another story about Olivia that stirred even more mystery. A powerful deleted scene from Greece that she never forgot. The deleted scene. One of the most fascinating and emotional pieces of Greece history isn't in the movie at all. It's the deleted scene that Olivia Newton-John later revealed in interviews. This missing moment, filmed after her ballad "Hopelessly Devoted to You," gave a deeper look into Sandy's struggle with identity and self-worth. Though it never made the final cut, it left a lasting impression on Olivia and continues to stir interest among fans today. The deleted scene was placed after Sandy sings "Hopelessly Devoted to You," one of the most heartfelt songs in the film. In that number, Sandy reflects on her heartbreak and confusion about her relationship with Danny. But what audiences didn't get to see was the emotional moment that followed. According to Olivia Newton-John and several production members, this scene featured Sandy sitting down with her Pink Ladies friends and opening up about her internal conflict. She expressed doubts about where she fit in at Rydell High and questioned whether she needed to change to be accepted by Danny or whether she could stay true to herself and still be loved. It was not just about the romance. It was about identity, acceptance, and growing up. Olivia described the scene as one of the most emotionally vulnerable performances she had ever delivered. She said it reflected a more complex version of Sandy, one that didn't simply follow a predictable good girl to rebel arc, but explored why that transformation might happen. A crew member who worked on the film later shared, "It showed she wasn't just changing for Danny, she was taking control of how she wanted to be seen." This moment would have added layers to Sandy's character, showing that she wasn't making a sudden change just to win someone over. She was making a decision about who she wanted to be. In interviews years later, Olivia acknowledged how important that scene felt to her at the time. It mirrored her own feelings of uncertainty as a singer stepping into the acting world. "It was emotional to film," she said, "because I had my own doubts at the time about acting, about fitting into Hollywood. And I think that mirrored what Sandy was going through." Despite the emotional depth and powerful message of the scene, it didn't make it into the final version of the film. Director Randall Kleiser later explained why. "It slowed the film down heading into the high-energy finale," he said in a 2019 interview. "Grease was meant to be fun and uplifting. The filmmakers were worried that a quiet, introspective moment so late in the movie would disrupt the rhythm, especially just before the carnival scene and the musical finale with 'You're the One That I Want.' So, the decision was made to cut the scene for the sake of pacing and tone." Olivia understood the reasoning and supported the team's choice, even though she admitted she had felt deeply connected to the moment. She respected that the movie had a specific feel, and that too much emotional weight might have changed how audiences experienced it. Unfortunately, the scene has never resurfaced. According to production insiders, the original reels were likely repurposed, a common cost-saving practice at the time. No known footage exists today. In 2010, The Hollywood Reporter published a piece speculating that some old reels might still be stored in studio archives, but no official confirmation followed. So far, there has been no sign of the missing footage in any remastered versions or anniversary releases of Grease. Fans had hoped that the 2018 and 2023 re-releases would include the scene, but it wasn't part of the additional content. Even without the footage, fans haven't forgotten about the scene. Online forums like Reddit and fan blogs are filled with discussions about what the moment could have meant for Sandy's character. Some argue that if the scene had stayed, it would have made Sandy's final transformation feel more honest and self-driven. One Reddit commenter wrote, "It would have shown Sandy navigating internal pressure instead of just reacting to Danny." Others believe it might have shifted the public's interpretation of her ending entirely, making it feel less like submission and more like self-discovery. Because no images or script pages have been officially released, the scene has taken on a mythical quality among Grease fans. It's become one of those rare pieces of pop culture history where what wasn't seen is just as talked about as what was. Before her passing, Olivia Newton-John reflected on the scene in one of her last interviews. "Sometimes what doesn't make it into the movie is just as important as what does," she said. She acknowledged that while the moment held personal meaning for her, the version of Grease that made it to theaters still worked. She felt proud of the film and didn't dwell on what was left behind. The deleted scene now lives on in memory, interviews, and the imagination of fans. While it may never be recovered, its story continues to raise important questions about storytelling, character depth, and creative choices in filmmaking. But Olivia's quiet strength wasn't only seen in her roles, it also helped her face some of life's most painful moments, including the final chapter of her journey. Her final goodbye. Olivia Newton-John lived a life filled with music, love, strength, and compassion. In her final years, even as she battled ongoing health challenges, she never lost her grace or sense of purpose. She used her voice to bring awareness to causes she deeply cared about, especially cancer research and wellness. Though her passing marked the end of an extraordinary life, her influence and memory continue to live on around the world. After decades in the spotlight, Olivia spent her later years focusing on what mattered most to her: health, hope, and helping others. She had first been diagnosed with breast cancer in 1992, and though the disease returned multiple times over the years, she approached her journey with a deep sense of courage and optimism. She became a global advocate for cancer awareness, speaking openly about her treatments, natural therapies, and the emotional side of living with cancer. She wanted people to feel less alone and more empowered. In Melbourne, she helped create the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Center, which opened in 2012. The center not only treats patients, but also focuses on research and holistic wellness. It became one of Olivia's proudest accomplishments. During this time, she also wrote a memoir titled "Don't Stop Believin'," where she reflected on her life, career, personal struggles, and growth. In her book and final interviews, she remained positive and spiritual. She talked about the importance of love, inner peace, and staying grateful. Even when she discussed pain or fear, Olivia did so with honesty and kindness. She never allowed illness to take away her light. Olivia Newton-John passed away peacefully on August 8, 2022, at her home in Southern California. She was 73 years old. Her husband, John Easterling, announced the news and shared that she was surrounded by family and friends when she died. The cause was complications from her long and courageous battle with breast cancer. The world reacted with an outpouring of love. Tributes came in from fans across the globe, as well as from fellow celebrities, musicians, actors, and even political leaders. John Travolta, her Grease co-star and close friend, wrote a heartfelt message. "My dearest Olivia, you made all of our lives so much better. Yours from the first moment I saw you and forever." Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese also honored her, calling her a symbol of hope and grace, and praising her dedication to health and wellness causes. Memorial services were held in both the United States and Australia, and landmarks around the world were lit up in pink to honor her legacy and cancer advocacy work. People remembered her not only as a singer and actress, but also as a warm, humble, and generous soul. Her songs were played again across radio stations, and fans revisited her performances in Grease and Xanadu. It was clear that Olivia Newton-John had touched many lives in a deep and lasting way. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more stories like this.